It's very rare to see a beginner guitar video which explicitly talks about arching your fingers. That's probably the most important thing you're going to learn for beginner guitar chords. Arching your fingers is something that we do with all chords, and it allows us to play with less pressure on the strings, and it also lifts our fingers a little off the strings and creates more space so that we don't accidentally hit strings that we don't want to hit and make them buzz, and so on. So let's make an E minor chord. Okay. We got 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and 4. We take our second finger, we're going to place it on the second thickest string, second fret. Third finger, third thickest string, second fret. Okay? And you're going to pluck through all of them. You're always going to pluck through all of them like that to hear if you're making any buzzing. Now, a beginner might play with their fingers kind of flat like this or some variation of that. And that's what we want to avoid. Okay? So what we want to do is see how much space, how much meat I've got on both fingers after I'm pressing on the strings, right? So we're going to move both of these fingers down just a few millimeters, okay? They're still on the strings, they're just moved down like 2 or 3 millimeters. And then from our wrist and our thumb, okay? Our thumb is resting flat in the middle of the neck. From our wrist and our thumb, we're going to move up a little, okay? And there's that arch I was talking about. So, it's important to have a space between the bottom of the guitar and your hand. Okay, the only part of your hand that's touching the actual guitar is the tips of your strings and the flat part of your finger right here. The flat part of your finger just plants right in the middle of the guitar at the back, and those two fingers, the second and third, come down on the second frets. Okay, and again, if it's flat and looking strange, what you want to do is you want to move them both down just a few millimeters. They're still on the strings, very important. And then with your thumb, you can move your thumb and wrist down a little, right? To come out a little, rather, like that. And there's that arch, right? It's not much. I might even be exaggerating a little to make sure you get the idea, okay? It needs to be comfortable for you. You don't want to be straining your hand. But it's also going to take a little getting used to. So, what you're going to want to do for all the chords that you're going to learn in the first position, in the open position here, is you want to lift them off and put them back. And you want to try and retain that arch every time. If you're having a hard time, if you lift it off and you put it back and it's kind of flat and awkward again, it's okay. Just make sure to move them down a little and move them up, and you'll get that chord again, right? And off and put it back and regain the arch, and keep doing it until that arch becomes automatic. Okay, so from here it's quite easy, let's say, to get into this is an E minor, it's quite easy to get into an E major. All you need to do is put down your first finger. Now a lot of beginners are going to try and sort of creep it up from under, right? They're trying to creep up, but what you really want is you want to try and make it a little more parallel to the frets. So here are the metal lines, right, the frets. So you want to make this finger a little more parallel as opposed to like that. You want a little more parallel. And the same thing, look at that arch I've got, right? If you're finding there's no arch like this, you're going to be muting the strings behind. Okay, so what you really want to do is move that finger down a little and move it up. And make sure it's a little more parallel as opposed to like that. And that's how we're going to get all of our arches. Same thing would apply here. You're going to lift off, put back. If your fingers are off again, it's okay. Just remember what I told you. Make it more parallel to the metal, to the frets. Okay? Move it down and move it up. Okay? So if the terminology here is not clear to you, okay, I've got a video that shows you how we hold the guitar, how we are supposed to hold our chords, okay, and it also explains how to read chord diagrams. So you can take a look at that and then come back to this, but you're going to want to apply this arching method to all your chords and make it consistent and get the muscle memory for all of it, because when we get to more complicated chords, right, arching is extremely important. It's always important. Without it you're going to have a difficult time. So that's one of the most important and basic things you need to learn. Okay, for more useful lessons and stuff like that, check out my website, and it's in the link below, and check out the rest of the channel. Thank you.